Hello there everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon What? So, as you can see, we are now in Mr. Charlton City. And we have already met with the Miss Charlton gym leader, Skyla. But, however, she has now gone off to Celestial Tower, which is located on the route that we are going to be going through today. Route 7. And we actually have to go through this route and actually go to Celestial Tower if we want to challenge Skyla. So yeah, we still have a few ways to go before we even get to our gym battle with Skyla. But anyways, everyone, now as you can see, now Route 7 actually has two things. Actually has two things that we've not seen up until this point. War for this generation anyway. Now, first off, are the very tall grass. Now before this generation, if you just so happen to walk through the very tall grass, you could not run through it. For the life of you. Yeah, meaning that you could only walk through it. But however, that has been changed ever since this generation. Now we can easily run through the very tall grass now. So yeah, thank God for that, huh? Now the second thing about this route are these raised walkways. Yeah, so they are essentially, of course, another way that you can try to avoid the tall grass altogether. But however, these walkways are very thin, and if you just happen to stand still, your character. Your character will start to wobble on one foot, and if you stay on it for too long, you will fall down. So yeah, make sure you are constantly moving. Moving on these walkways. Although, however, now some of these walkways do have trainers that do have some trainers on them too. So if you want to avoid dealing with trainers, while also trying to avoid the wild battles, then you may have to try your best to maneuver around them. Or if you don't want to deal with the raised walkways, then simply just go through the then simply just pack a lot of max repels. Yeah, but anyways, everyone. Now, and speaking of the wild Pokemon, oh wait, but first off, yeah, that's right, everyone. Now here's where we get to the introduction of the Pokemon that we actually need to trade a Carablast with in order for you to evolve both of them. Shelmet! Yeah, and as you can probably tell, yeah, that shell that Shelmet has definitely gets carried over onto Carablast as it evolves. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, now here's where we also get an introduction to Scolipede! Yeah, that's right. The final evolution of Venipede. Yeah, now Scolipedes, as I mentioned before, yeah, I'm pretty sure I must have. Yes, Scolipedes can be very fast hitters. Yeah, you just may not know how fast, how fast some Scolipede can. Yeah, you probably just don't know how fast these Scolipede can be. Okay, everyone. Now I start trying to figure out which one of my Pokemon I'm now going to give my rare candy to. Now, I may as well just go over the wild of Pokemon that you can encounter here. Now, considering that we are going through this route in a season that is not winter, meaning that this is actually our first route where I'm not going to be doing any sort of where I am not going to be doing any sort of where I'm not going to be going through any sort of wild encounters this time around. Because, well, during the other seasons that is not of winter, you'll still find Tranquils, Deerlings, and Fungus. Just like when we saw them on the in the previous route. But however, you can also find wild Watchhogs here now, and also wild Zepstricus. So yeah, sorry everyone. If you wanted to avoid having a Blitzel altogether, then you can find Zepstricus here. But however, but also, if we just happen to go through this route during the winter, you can find another ice type Pokemon. This time it is a Cupchew. Yeah, the a little like ice bear. With the very big nostril. Yeah, with the very big ice booger that Cupchew always draws out of its nose. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, now as for the Pokemon that can be swarming here, if they just so happen to swarm here anyway. Now you can actually find Sentrets here. So, yeah, now, if you don't want to bother dealing with the transfer system, then you can easily just get your Sentrets here. But it is by random luck, though. Yeah, but anyways, now from that woman who we just talked to, she just gave us the TM Charge Beam. So, yeah, for those of you who want to raise up your special attack stat, well, there you go. Oh yeah, and also, and I guess I should point this out right now. Yeah, I would say starting with this route is where we're gonna be seeing a lot more evolved Pokemon. Yeah, as we previously saw from that Scolipede. But now here's where we are probably going to be seeing all of the evolutions of the elemental monkeys. Since we already had that encounter with Simisage before. But then we just got our encounter with Pansear's evolution, Simisear. Oh yeah, now we have this guy, who he says, he wants to have a Bulldar, but then he'll trade you for his Emolga. Now, this is the game's way of telling you, if you don't have an electric type yet, or even at all, then you can actually just get one from him. But however though, considering that just like with another certain character that gives you a freaking that gives you a Haunter holding a Everstone. Yeah, this trade is also kind of a ripoff too, because not only can you find Emolgas very early on, or even not only then, you can still find Emolgus on this route, by the way. But also, if you want to evolve your Boldar, you actually have to trade it. So you're essentially giving away a Pokemon that you actually need to evolve by trading in order for you to actually get one. So, really? Yeah, that's honestly kind of a waste. Yeah, that one's kind of a ripoff. Oh yeah, that's right. Now here's where we actually get another triple a battle. If this was a Pokemon Black, then we would be dealing with a rotation battle. Now, as you can also see as you can see, right in the middle of Watchog and Lightbird is the evolution of Swoobat. Swoobat. Yeah, a Pokemon that doesn't really get utilized all that much, really. Yeah, despite the fact that it is Psychic and Flying. But honestly, for those of you who wanted a Psychic Flying type, we probably would just use Sigilyph anyway. Wow, Watchog. Wow. You just had to crit me with that friggin' Hyper Fang. Which probably would have KO'd my Krugog anyway. Considering Hyper Fang is a really strong attack. So, yeah, really, you just had to do a crit on him. But anyways, everyone, back to what I was saying about Swoobat here. Yeah, considering that we have Sigilyph already, yeah, not a lot of people are probably going to be utilizing Swoobat all that much. And not to mention, Swoobat doesn't get utilized not that much. Swoobat doesn't really get utilized all that much. Really doesn't get utilized all that much in the anime, really. Yeah, although we did see Swoobat a few times during the Black and White anime, but after that, yeah, we haven't seen much of Swoobats after that. Yeah, and the same also goes for Simisear. Yeah, and the same also goes for the elemental monkeys. Well, actually, I'm more so referring to their evolutions, because since we did see Pansear and Pampor just a little bit during our Pokemon journeys, and of course we obviously saw Pansage a lot during the entirety of the Black and White anime. But as for Simisear, and also the evolution of Pampor, not so much. Yeah, I just find. Yeah, I know the elemental monkeys aren't exactly that aren't exactly all that favorable. But at the same time, you can at least give them just a little bit more love. I mean, come on now. But anyways, now as for Simisear itself, yeah, Simisear is definitely considered one of the is really considered everybody's least favorite Pokemon of all time. Yeah, and especially when we got that poll, like I think it was back in like a few years ago, where all of us could vote for our favorite Pokemon, and Simisear was definitely did not get any sort of votes. Yeah, Simisear, I'm pretty sure Simisear got like 0 votes. Yeah, that shows how not exactly liked Simisear is. And I can't see why people would not like Simisear all that much, considering not only from its moveset, but also from its design. Yeah, but honestly, guys, I sort of like Simisear, but not to the point where I want to consider utilizing him on my team. It's just that I like from what I... Yeah, it's just that I somewhat like, Simisear. Yeah. But anyways, everyone, now within this house here, normally this is a house where you can have your Pokemon, where you can heal up your team here. But however, this house will be extremely important, well, for those of you who are interested in trying to get every single Pokemon. But for those of you who don't, then you really don't have to bother with it. Oh yeah, but now we get this. Yep, we get ourselves another phone call. And it's actually from our mom again. Yeah, we haven't actually seen her ever since we haven't actually seen her ever since we first entered Route 2. Yeah, and then she literally surprised us, surprised us from behind. Now, after she made that last call. But anyways, yeah, this is her. She's just yeah. Now your mom is basically saying like how things are going. Where are you right now? Yeah. Yeah, she is essentially just, she is essentially just checking up on your progress and whatnot. Yeah. Oh yeah, now you see here? Yeah, now, this right here is what I was talking about. Yeah, there are some Harlequins, on these walkways too. Yeah, and if you want to avoid them, then you're probably gonna have to maneuver. Yeah, you really have to try your best to maneuver around them and whatnot. Okay, and now that that's said, I guess that's all I really have to say in terms of this route, for this whole route entirely. Now, oh yeah, that's right, and I guess I should point this out too. Now for the area that is actually past Route 7, now we can only go towards the entrance because there will be this hiker who actually will block your progress. Who actually will block your entrance to a mountain. Unless if you have defeated the Metropolitan Gym Leader first. So yeah, I would say yeah. Now after we go past a certain point, then we're not down. Then of course, yeah, we're gonna have to go back again. Oh yeah, sorry. Here we go. Now for this, yeah, you saw? Yep. Now we have for the TM Exeter. So yeah, and everyone, now for those of you who want to utilize Exeter and still haven't found ways to utilize it, well, now we can. Alright, now let's see if there's any more Harlequins around here, or, well, more so any other trainers around here before we go back. Okay, here's you. I love raised walkways. Balancing is fun, so I often come here to play. And how are you feeling about that when we actually battle, huh? Yeah, how do you like that, Ian? Oh yeah, that's right. Now, if we just so happen to not encounter a Tynamo back in a Chargestone Cave, this would have been your very first. This Tynamo would have been a very first one. Then you would be able to know that Tynamos actually live in Chargestone Cave. So yeah, I guess that sells that. Now, yeah. Now, I guess as we are going for these battles again, I guess I should go over several Pokemon that I still have yet to actually talk about before. Yeah, specifically back when we were in our Chargestone Cave. Now, yeah, I did go over. Yeah, I did go over Arcan. As for the Clink line, yeah, as for Clink, yeah, I like it, but I really don't really consider utilizing one anytime soon. Considering, well, as I may have mentioned before, yeah, considering that the Clink line has the plus and the minus abilities, and since they only since those abilities only work in if they just happen to have the same like the very same abilities, yeah, I mean that we're not gonna get much out of them. So that's why I never really considered really utilizing a Clink of my own. Yeah, but anyways, now okay, go over here. Why? Oh, you know what? Why the hell not? Why not? Let's find another Audino. Why not? Although, I was actually kind of hoping for an Emolga, so I can show you that, yeah, you can't find, yeah, meaning that, yeah, just to show you that, yeah, you can't find Emolgas here. Meaning that you don't have to offer with that freaking trade. Yeah, but anyways. But, oh yeah, sorry. And I guess I should point this out about that trader. Now that trader, even though he's a really big ripoff within the prequels, but during the sequels, they definitely improved that trade. They improved it quite a lot. Yeah, you'll probably see what I mean if I just so happen to go through the sequels, which is probably gonna be a most likely thing. Yeah, but whatever. But anyways, now I've already talked about what I feel about Flaccid. Although what I will say about Flaccid is that, even though I would consider utilizing one myself, it's just that I never really found any sort of opportunities for me to be able to use one, cause, yeah, I may have already have either a grass or a steel type Pokemon with me. So, yeah, not that many opportunities for me to be able to utilize one. Yeah, but anyways. Now as for a Lilligant. Like I said before, Lilligants are extremely annoying because of their annoying Quiver Dance and Teeter Dance moves. Yeah, those guys are just really hardcore bitches. Yeah, well, they are more so annoying just to get rid of. Yeah, especially after they just keep utilizing those moves over and over and over and over again. Every single time you see one. Then as for Whimsicott, I would say it is less annoying than a Lilligant. But however, considering that Whimsicotts definitely have that very fast speed, speed stat, meaning that they can easily pull off moves like freaking Hurricane very easily. Yeah, they could definitely be annoying. They could definitely be annoying in that regard. Oh yeah, as you can see here, now he's already getting the evolution of Pimpor, Simipour. Yeah, I would definitely say it is better designed than. Now people say while it is better designed than Simisear, just not so much for when you're actually utilizing them in battle. Yeah, and I can see why that's the case too. But honestly, I actually prefer Simisear over Simipour. Yeah, so yeah, quite a shocker, huh? Yeah, I actually like Simisear more than Simipour. Yeah. I just never really found Simipour, or honestly, I just never found Simipour. I just never found Simipour all that interesting at all. Yeah, I just never really found Simipour all that interesting at all. But anyways, although I would still not recommend myself to actually utilizing a Simipour anytime soon. It's just that I prefer, it's just that I still prefer, and I would still not prefer to use Simipour anytime soon either. But anyways, now as we're finding this last trainer, before we actually head ourselves off to, the entrance to, Celestial Tower, the other Pokemon I haven't talked about is, Tynamo. Yeah, now, while it is a unique Pokemon, considering that it is a electric type, that actually gets the ability to levitate, meaning that the Tynamo line has no weaknesses whatsoever. It's just that I never really found it got myself a chance to really utilize one. Oh yeah, now here's where we get Axew! Yep, the very, very Dragon-type Pokemon. Yeah, our very first Dragon-type. And yet, that guy back at Castelia City wanted me to show him a Dragon-type, even though we do not get Axews until much later. But anyways, everyone, now back to Axew. Yeah, it is definitely the Dragon type that we definitely saw a lot of, plenty, in the Black and White anime. Because, yeah, we didn't really see, yeah, that's what we saw usually from Iris. That is until after the Gen 5 anime, where Haraxu finally actually does a fully evolve. That was essentially when Axew really became Iris's powerhouse. But as everyone with that said, now we've reached Central Tower. This is all I'm gonna do for this part. And so to the next part, I'll see you guys next time.